Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today, as we discussed, we are going to learn about what are methods in Java, what are the different kinds of methods in Java, and how we can use it. So till now we have covered what are objects, what are the difference between object and classes, and what is the difference between instance variable and static variable. We saw, and we also saw the scenario that when do we need to use static and instance variable. We saw the example of each one of them. So today, as we have planned, that we are going to learn what methods are. So first we'll learn it in an approach that we started. So the approach was like, why do we need something? So we saw that class is a kind of container that can store our code. Main method was the entry point. Variable were used to store some values. Arrays were used to store some values, but a large number of values of the same types. And objects, it was a kind of actual stuff that was created using a class. So we can say that object is a kind of real entity that is created by using the classes. So till now we have only discovered this thing, and also we have discovered data types. So we know that why do we need data type? To specify which type of data our variable is storing, or which kind of data this variable a have. So we have saw, and also we saw that typecasting. Okay, so till now we have seen this much things, but we know the reason behind using these things. So now today what we are going to learn is methods. So again, first we need to know that what is the purpose, why do we need methods in Java. So let's say I ask you to write hello 3 times. You will write hello, or I'll ask you to write hello 3 times. So in the console, so use system.out.println hello hello hello. Okay, next day I again ask you the same task. You again did the same system.out.println hello hello hello. Or if I ask you that this kind of task you need to do again and again, okay, you have to print hello or this 10 lines of sentence. Okay, you need to print the paragraph. Let me tell you, this is a paragraph of 6 lines. You need to print it again and again. So your first question will be, how can I do that? So what you can do is you will use system.out.println for now. But now what if I ask you to do it 100 times? You will end up writing 100 system.out.printlns. So this makes the task very difficult or very untidy. This will make our code very untidy. So what we can do is, I can just wrap this paragraph into a container, or this some few lines of instruction into a container. So this is my container. Now whenever I want to perform the task, whenever I want to perform the same task, I can just call this container, and this container will do the task for us. So if I call it 10 times, I just need to call this container if I want to print the statement, or if I want to perform this task 10 times. So I can just call this container 10 times and it will do the task for us. So there can be 100 instruction inside this container, or 200 or 20 as well. So it is up to us that how much instruction we define inside a container. But the main purpose is we are reusing our code again and again. Instead of writing it again and again whenever we need it, I just call this container and it does the task for us. So this container that we are calling is nothing but a method. So what I can say is, I can wrap my code inside a method, and this method, so whenever I want to perform these 4 lines of instruction, I can just invoke this method with its name. So we can say that this is the name of our method. So first we'll see how do we declare a method in Java, and then we'll see some variations and also the different kinds of methods. So First we need to see the method signature, means how can I define a method inside Java. So the method signature. So the method signature for declaring a method is, first we need to give some return type. Don't worry about this, what is return type. We will be covering that, what method or what is a return type and how can we use it. And then we need to give the method name. You can note this down, and inside the parenthesis I need to use parenthesis, and inside this I can give parameters. Now this parameters, and I need to open the curly braces. So these parameters can be n number of, okay, so there can be n number of parameters. So let's say parameter 1, but now in parameter 2 we'll again see that what is the use of parameter, but first we need to see the method signature first. So method parameter 1, parameter 2, but one thing again you have to understand that, yes, so that for defining parameters, just a second, yes, for defining parameters you need to define the type of the parameter as well, the same way that we used to define a variable like int a. So this parameter can be int a or int b or both of them. Okay, so this method takes two parameter, and we'll see what is the use of parameters and how we can use the parameters while invoking the method. So I hope this is clear to everyone till now. So let's proceed further. So let's take a example. So first, we don't know anything about return type, so I'll just keep it void. Void means I don't have to return anything, my method doesn't return anything. So let me give the name of the method as test, and let's say that this method doesn't take any parameter. Now I can say that system.out.println hello, I am inside test. Hello, I am inside test. So now if I want to invoke this test, I can just call it like this inside our main method, and I can call it several number of times. So I have done 3 times over here, so it will print hello, I am inside test thrice, correct? So it will be printing this statement 3 times. Okay, yes. So now we'll try to define this method inside our method class, and we'll see how I can invoke this, and then we'll try some variations. Okay, so first I'll so I'll create a method. Okay, so first we need to define the return type. So I'm using the void return type. I can give the name as test. I'm saying that I don't want any parameters inside my method. System.out.println hello, I am inside test, correct? So now I want to invoke this. So for now I am making it as static, don't worry about this keyword. So I want to invoke, see now the JVM searches for the main method is found, but is there any instruction inside the main method? Obviously no, because it is empty for now. So what instruction do I, so means am I supposed to give to it? I want to invoke the test method, correct? So then only it will print, or then only it will perform the instruction that is given inside the test method. So your question may be, how come I, or how can I invoke this main, how can I invoke this test method inside my main method? So it's very easy. I just need to give the name of my method, and I need to use this parenthesis. Now your question may be that why do I need this parenthesis? See, this method can accept several numbers of parameters. For now it is not means accepting any, this is not expecting any parameters from us, but this method might expect some parameters from us. So for now it is no argument, so I have just passed a empty parenthesis. But now what will happen if I try to run this? What happens inside the console? You can see this, hello, I am inside test. So this prints whatever stuff that is written inside a test method. So let's say I have different lines of code or 3 different instructions. I am at line 2, and over here if I say, just a second, I am at line 3. So if I try to run this, you would have already guessed that what will be the output. So let me run this and see, it is the same that we have written inside our code. So now I can perform the same task again and again just by calling this method. So I am reusing my code using the method. So the main agenda of using a method is saving our code. Is it clear to everyone? Yes. So now what we are going to learn, first we will be seeing the return type. Okay, so what do we mean by return type? See, over here I am just printing the task, I am just doing the instruction, and the instruction are just printing some statement inside the console. But you must, or like you can expect any or some values from the methods. Like for example, you are calling a method called as sum, so you expect the sum of some values from that method. So by changing the return type, so let's say my return type is int, I can return something. This method can provide you something after its successful execution. So let's say I am returning 100. Is 100 a type of int? Yes. So now one thing you need to make sure that whenever you provide the return type other than void, previously it was void but now it is int, so is it other than void? Definitely yes. So whenever you are trying to, or whenever you are providing any return type other than void, then you must return some value of the type that is compatible with this return type. So is 100 compatible with the return type? You will say yes, absolutely correct. So can I return 100? Yes. But if I don't return 100, let me comment this. Do we get an error? Yes, we do. So the error is this method must return a result of type int. So that's the reason why we need to return some value. So if I am defining any return type in my method signature, then I must return some value that is compatible to it. Okay, so now your question may be, how can I use, or how can I use this 100, or how can I print this 100, or how can I grab this 100? These are the several questions that might be running in your mind. Yes. So now this method returns something. So let's say in a general layman language, what we can say that this test method throws some values. Okay, this method throws some value and the value is 100. So now if this method is throwing some value, you should have something to catch this value, correct? If you don't catch, this will drop down, correct? So you need to catch this value, you need to provide a container to catch this. So now it's up to you. If you can print it, system.out.println, you can say that test, because this method returns some value that can be printed. So you are using the system.out.println container for catching this value. But you can also use int a. You will say why? See, this test method, let me write this way. So this test method at the end of its successful execution returns 100. So is 100 compatible with a? or because a is of type int, so is int compatible with 100 or 100 compatible with int? Can 100 be stored inside it? You will say yes, definitely. So if 100 can get stored inside int, so I can use a variable for storing this, and I can use this say later whenever I want it. So one thing, or we can say one use of the return type is whenever we want something, or whenever we want some values after the computation of our method, or after some computation of the instruction written inside our method, I want some value to get written or to be thrown by this method so that I can use it in my further codes. So I can use this say whenever I want. So I can say that int a is equals to like this, and now after this line I can say system.out.println a. This will print 100. But now at this two line, the line number 14th and 15, I am not having any container over here, so nothing will get printed or nothing will be stored, because see, this method throws 100 over here as well, but we don't have anything to store the value, or I am not having any container to hold this value. So you keep that in mind. Whenever you want to use it, you can have a container like this, because this int is compatible with this int type, or you can use the printout if you just want the output to be printed inside the console. Yes, so now let's try this one and then we'll proceed further. Okay, so now if I do it like this, if I run this, nothing happens, because this test was returning 100, but before 100 it was printing these values. So it printed this value and then it throws 100, but there is no one to catch 100 over here. That's the reason why there is no effect of 100 till now. But now what if I just grab this line of code over here, and if I say system.out.println, right, and over here this. So now this test returns something. What does it returns? 100. Can I print 100 inside my console? Yes. So let's see this. See, as soon as it successfully executes the first three lines inside the method at the line number 13. Okay, we'll do one thing. Yes. All right. So let me debug this in our way. JVM looks for the main method. Main method is found. Great. I need to execute instruction written inside this curly braces. The first instruction says that you have to print something inside the console, and that something means you have to first execute this test method, and then this test method will return some value, and then you have to print that value. So first we have to go inside this test method. It is over here. So what it will do, it will check, is there any test method inside my class? It will say yes, we do have one method named as test. Great. So let's go inside it. First line says that okay, you have to print hello, I am inside test. Got printed. Now the next line says that hello, I am at the line 2. Gets printed. Hello, I am at line 3. Got printed over here. But now then it returns something. So as soon as it returns, see, now the return statement must be at the, or I can say that the return statement must be the last statement of your method, because return means you return any values whenever you want to terminate your method. So if I write return over here, will this line get executed? No, because return means terminate the program and throw this value. The method will only throw some value whenever it gets terminated. So if it gets terminated over here, this line won't get printed and will get an error. If we try to define any statement after our return statement, we'll get an error, that unreachable code, and we'll see that one as well. But before that we need to see that okay, this method throws some value 100, so 100 comes over here. Now what I have to do, I have to print 100 over here. Great. Then what I am supposed to do, after printing 100, I need to move the next instruction of my main method. So next instruction of my main method says that you have to again go to the test method. Is there any test method? Yes, we got one. Go inside it and print or perform the instruction that it says. First instruction says that you have to print hello, I am inside test. Next instruction says that I am at line 2 and I am at line 3. But now we don't get 100 because now I am not having any container to store this value, or I am not trying to print that value, so I don't get any 100. It comes over here and now it moves down to the next line and it again follow the same way. So I hope this is clear to everyone, and if you have any doubts you can ask me in the live chat. And Atul is saying that, is it like reusing piece of code within and outside the Java program? Yes. So methods are meant to be useful or meant to be using the code again and again. We don't have to perform this task again and again, or I don't have to write this several lines of code again and again. Okay, so now let's include some parameters and let's make a method that will be that sounds sensible to us. This test is not at all logical, correct? So let's create a different method, static. Okay, don't worry about the static keyword. I'll return some value int. Okay, so let me give the method name as sum. So let's say this sum will define two variables inside it, 56 int b is equals to 90. So now what do you understand by name sum? This sum must return sum of the two numbers for now. So let's say sum a, or for now what I can say, int c is equals to a plus, again don't worry about the operators, we'll see operators in much detail when we move to the operator section. So return c. Now what will happen, is c compatible with int? Let's check the return type of c. Okay, return type, or sorry, the data type of c is int. Is int compatible with int? Definitely yes, so no errors we get. Okay, so if I try to write anything beyond my return statement like this, or hello, see, we do get an error, and the error says that unreachable code. So the reason for this is when I return something, my program terminates. Sorry, not my program, but the method's execution gets terminated. So method ends. So if the methods end at the return statement, then there is no need of writing, or there is no sense of writing any statement beyond that. So that's the reason why we get this error. Okay. Okay, so Atul is saying that instead of calling test 3 times, I can pass 3 inside the parentheses. Don't worry, we'll see parameters and we'll see when do we pass something inside the parentheses. Okay, so why 100? Yes, so you are asking that why 100 didn't print it for the next 2 times. The reason was I was not storing the value of 100 in anything. I was not having any container. I used the container println to print the value inside my console. But for the next 2 line, I didn't use it. So the value 100 was thrown for these 2 times as well, but it was wasted. No one used it. So I hope this is clear to all. Yes, so Abhishek is saying that methods are like functions. Yes, so in some language we call methods as function. Yes, so now for now, yes, so this returns the sum of a plus b. So there is no test method for now, so what I can say that sum, and I hope that this works fine, correct? So let's try this, and this works definitely correct, because 56 plus 90 is 146. That's what we were trying to do. Okay, so now you can also say that instead of creating another variable, what you can do it a plus b. Okay, all right, sorry. Yes, so now again the same value, because a plus b again gives the resultant as of type int. Okay, or you can say that you can just directly say 50 plus 90, and then again you don't have to use these two variables as well. Okay, okay, sorry, it was 56. Great. So now what we are trying to do is main method found. The next instruction says that you have to print the value that is written by this method. So where is this method? Is there any method inside our program? Let's search for it. Okay, it is found over line 4. Line 4 says that means this method have only one instruction, and the instruction says that terminate the program by returning the sum of these two values. So 56 plus 90 is 146, and we return this value. So 146 comes over here and it gets printed inside the console using the system.out.println statement. Yes, so I hope till now it is very much clear to everyone. So now your question may be, why only 56 plus 90? Our sum method should be able to withstand with each and every scenarios of two variables. Like if I give 10 plus 20, 10 comma 20, then to it must work. If I say 2 comma 5, then to it should work, because over here it is kind of providing the value explicitly or hard coding the value inside my sum method. So what I will do is I'll introduce parameters now, because now you are asking that I want to perform the sum of two values, and the two values will be given by me, not by the method itself. So I don't want to, like, I want my method to be working in each and every scenario for the int values. So let me introduce I introduce some parameters. You said I'll provide two values, a comma b, so or 50 comma 90. It's up to you which value you provide, like 7 comma 8, 10 comma 20. It's up to you. You said you asked me about this requirement, so now I am introducing parameters, int a comma int b. So now what I'll do is a plus b. Again, it won't be much clear for now, but don't worry, we are again going through the execution steps. So now I ask you, okay, you have to perform the sum of two numbers, 7 and 56. So you do one thing, you call my sum method and provide the two number inside the parenthesis, and the two number must be of type int. So you say, okay, I'll call the sum method and say values like this. So what is the sum of 76 plus 89? It is 160, I guess. Yes. So now I ask you to this thing, and this method is defined by me. I'm the developer. I have developed this program for you. This was your requirement, that I will provide you two values of type int, and it must give me the sum of the two values. So now I ask you, okay, great, I have designed this method. What you can do is you can wrap this, or you can invoke the sum method and provide your two values inside it, and wrap it inside a sysout for printing the value inside the console. So let's run this. Yes, it comes out to be 165. So 89 plus 76 is 165, correct? So now I can give different values like this. So what is 89 plus 67? I guess it is 156. Yes. So now let's try some different values. 54 comma 90, 144. Yes. So now this method works with all other values, correct? So I have made a generic method like this. This is a kind of obvious thing that I can say that you need to call this sum method, and it will give you the result of the two numbers. So now you ask me, hey, you are doing a good job. Do one thing, I don't want the sum of two numbers, I want the sum of three numbers. I'll say, all right, give me 1 second. I just altered the method, added the third variable. Okay, so it's up to you. You can store it inside another variable like int d is equals to a plus b plus c, and then you can return d, but it's again the same thing. So we can use the inline statements over here. Yes, so now I say okay, I'm done with the task. You can now provide 3 values to it. So now if I give this, it must print 150 inside the console. Yes, it gives us the correct output. So let's say I say 4 over here, it should print 100. Yes, so it again works fine. Okay, so now see, now I hope you are guessing the pattern. If you want to have some of more numbers, you can include more parameters to it so that it is dynamic to each and every values. So this is something called as like your program should be dynamic to each and every scenarios. The values inside the method must not be some hard coded values. Okay, so now you can include 10 parameters as well, you can include 2 parameters as well, or you can include, we have started with no parameters, or you can include 1 parameters as well. So now 1 parameter doesn't make sense with our sum method, but then to what I can do is I will just return the same value to in a console. Yes, so now we are getting an error because we are passing 3 arguments. So there is no method. Now how it searches? It doesn't searches the way that you are guessing, or you are like, I think that you are probably guessing it wrong. Okay, so how Java will search? Is there any sum method? It will say yes, there is a sum method. Great. Is it expecting 3 values of type int? So it will search for this signature. Is there any method with this signature? We have only one method with this signature, and this signature doesn't matches this, and we don't have any other method. So that's the reason why we get an error. And let's see what error do we get. It says that the method sum int in the type method is not applicable to this argument, because there is no such method that can handle this kind of arguments. The 3 arguments and the name of the method is sum. There is no method made like that. So we have to reduce this to 1 arguments, and if I don't provide any method, then too will get an error, because this have this signature and we will be looking for this signature. Again we'll get the same error. So let's try this. So if I just do this, it will work fine, no errors. We don't get any errors. If I just omit this one as well, we again get an error, and the same error comes over here. So it's up to you how you use the methods. Yes, you can give the n number of parameters. Yes, it's up to you. You can write 10 methods as well. So let me write static int subtract. Okay, so for now I'll just make this a bit generic, a plus b. Yes, so this, yes, so I declared a method called as subtract, and it takes 2 parameter a comma b. So what I can do is return a minus b. So if you want to subtract, now you ask me, okay, I need to, yes, I need a method that can provide me, or that can compute this subtract, or that can subtract 2 numbers for me. So I'll ask you, okay, call the subtract method and provide your 2 values like 6 comma 4, and it will give you the result. So the result will be 2. Now it's up to you. You store it in a variable like this, or you print it in your console. Correct? So let's try this one as well. So let us invoke the subtract method, system.out.println. Let me give the same values. Yes, so what output we can expect? 6 and 2. Yes, so it's the same value that we tried to get. Now let's, okay, so now let's create another method, and in this time, at this time, what we are trying to do is we'll try to invoke one of these method inside another method. See, now you will say, how can I do that? Correct? So now let me tell you that you have already done this. Okay, see, what is this main? You will say it is a main method. So what is it? Main method. So what is a main method? A method only, correct? So you are already calling, you are already invoking sum, and what is sum? Sum is a method. And you are already calling subtract, so subtract is again a method. So you are already calling two methods inside the main method. So it is possible that you can call methods within the method. And then too, we'll try another example, a real-time example, and we'll see that what is the need of using the method inside the method. For now we are using the invocation of method inside the method just for performing the instruction. But now beyond the main method, like after the main method or other than the main method, why do we need to call the method within the within another method? Yes, so now let's say I create a method called as average. Average takes two parameter again, int a comma int c int b. Sorry, now it's up to you how much parameter you provide. Okay, so now return a. Now what is the average of two number? The sum of two number divide by 2. Am I right? Yes, correct. So now if I invoke the same method again, okay, so let me copy paste this line and average. So yeah, sum of two number 6, subtraction of two number 4 comma 2, 2, average of two number 6 plus 2 is, sorry, 4 plus 2 is 6 and divide by 2 is 3. So what value inside the console we can expect is 6, 2 and 3. So let's run this. Right, just a second. Yes, so let me run this and we get the desired result 6, 2 and 3, correct? So now over here we did it in a very simple way, and this is the only way that we can do till now. But now what I want is, I want to invoke this sum method. I want to invoke this sum method inside my average method. So now your question may be, what is the use of that? What is average? A plus b by 2. And what is a plus b? Isn't it a sum? So can I provide sum a comma b? See, if I do sum a comma b and divide by 2, what will happen? Sum, first it will go to sum a comma b. So what sum a comma b returns? It returns a plus b. So let's say if I say sum 10 comma 2 and divide by 2, so what this will return? This will go inside the sum method and it will return 10 plus 2, that is equals to 12. So we'll get 12 divided by 2 and we'll get the average as 6, and that's what we actually want. So instead of doing this task by our own, or instead of repeating the task, because one method is already doing the same task, so why do we need to perform the same task again and again? We created, or we explored into the method just for reducing the, or just for reusing our code. So why not reuse the sum method over here as well? So what our return statement must be now? Return sum a comma b divide by 2. So let's try this. Right, instead of this, what I can do is sum a comma b. All right, we'll again see how this, what is the flow of this program, but for now let's print the value. So what is the average of 4 comma 2? We are again expecting the same output inside the console, 6, 2 and 3. So let's run the program. Yes, so we again get the same output. Yes, so now let me explain you the actual flow. Okay, so now for this average method, it search for the average method. See, just see the highlighting part. Okay, so if I click on this, it must highlight the method that is having the same method signature. Okay, so yes, it highlights this method, so the method is found. Now what this method says, that you have to go inside a method that have this signature. So let me control click on this and it takes us over here. And now yes, so now this returns a plus b, so a plus b comes over here, and means the result for a plus b comes over here, and then it divides by 2 and then it returns it over here. So let us visualize this. You already know this too. Now let us discuss about this. Is there any method with this signature? You will say yes, we do have, and it is over here. So go inside it and perform the task that it says. So we are over here now. Okay, now it says, see, just a second, we'll again main method average. I'm invoking average int comma int. Is there any method found? Now we need to come over here to end our program, correct? So before that we are inside the average, and in average says that you have to go to the sum method. So now average method is not completed yet, it is just redirecting us to the sum method over here. So sum method return, until and unless sum method returns something, okay, we won't like go beyond this statement, correct? So now a plus b return gets returned over here. So over here what do we get? A plus b by 2. So now it will compute this result. So a plus b will be written by this. So let's take an example now, a real time example. So now it is 4 over here and 2 over here, it goes to the sum and it says 4 comma 2, correct? It is asking for sum 4 and divide by 2. Is there any method called as sum? Yes, it is there. Yes, now what it returns? 4 plus 2 is 6, so it returns 6 over here, and what we need to do is 6 divided by 2. So what will be the output? The output will be 3. So that's the reason why we get 3 inside the output. You are asking that why we are using variable again and again for each method. Okay, so now yes, now we'll see local variable, don't worry about this, but for now I can say that these are different methods. Is this a defined globally directly within this? You will say no, so it doesn't have the global scope. Okay, so yes, so for now you can say this, or you can just keep this thing aside, like why I am defining a again and again and why I am not getting any conflict. So for now our main interest is of learning what methods are and how can I use it. I'm not understanding what you are saying, that can we give value of average as sum in main? Can you please elaborate that? Yes, so now I hope you understand what are methods, why do we need them, how can I create a method, what are the return type of the method. I can give any return type to it. Okay, if I give double, I need to provide some value that is compatible with double, not only double but the it can be int as well, because int is compatible with double, correct? So it's up to us which return or what we return, but it must be compatible with this return type. So I can give string or I can give char over here, but it must return some value that is compatible with char. So it's up to us what return type that we give. But one thing that you need to know, that if I give void, void means, so if I say void, okay, the parameters, so it's up to us. I am not returning anything. Okay, if I don't want to return anything, or if I want to make a method that doesn't return anything, I can keep it as void. I can keep the return type as void. But then too, if you want to add the return statement inside the void, you can keep the return statement like this, but it is not needed and no one uses this. So this again means that it is returning nothing. Yes, so you are asking that can I write system.out.println sum over here? So we have already done this, but there is no sum variable like this. See, if I don't include any parenthesis over here, okay, if I omit this, so this will look for what? A variable. Is there any variable sum? No. So we'll get an error. If I include a parenthesis like this, it will search for a method named as sum with no parameter. Is there any method? No. So we need to provide two parameters over here so that it goes inside this method and perform the task that we are expecting it to do. Yes. So now let's proceed further. So now you know that over with the void the return type is optional. Sorry, the return is optional, but for any other data type like int, like double, like char, or like string, or like any arrays as well, you can give any type over here. You know the data types, correct? So you can give any data type, let it be primitive, let it be non-primitive, it's up to you. But if you are defining any data type over here, you must return it, or you must return some value that is compatible to that data type. So just keep that in mind. Yes, so great. I hope till now it is very much clear to every one of you. Yes, so now we'll see what are local variables, and then tomorrow in our next session we'll learn more about methods, like what are instance method, what are static method. So as I said that don't worry about this static for now. We'll understand why I have written it as static. Okay, don't worry about this. And tomorrow we'll again see why our main method is declared as static. See, in our very first video I said that you don't have to worry about each of these syntaxes, correct? But now it's time to understand the syntaxes. We'll get a clear idea that why do we write this. But before going to this, I will just explain why the return type of main method is void. So have you guys guessed why the main method's return type is void? Yes. Okay, so now let me tell you why do you write a return type? You will say when my method returns something. So why do you need your method to return something? If the method returns something, there is a need that you need to use this returned value, correct? That's the reason why you are returning something from your method. I am returning this a plus b so that I can use it over here as well, I can use it over here as well, or at any line of my code. Okay, so that is the reason why my method is returning some value. Yes, void is a reserved keyword. Void is a keyword that is predefined by Java. Okay, so now the use of return type is, or the use of return is, I want to use the computed result or whatever the method returns in my further lines of code or whenever I need it. But now, as I said that main method is our entry and exit point as well. So if my program terminates over here, will there be any use of the value that will be returned by the main method? Like let's say if my main method returns some value of type int, so let's say 20. Okay, like my main method is like public int, okay, public static int main string args, like this. Okay, so now there are instruction over here and my main method returns some value of type int. Where am I supposed to use this 20? Is there any use of this 20? Will this 20 be used anywhere in your code? The answer is no, a big no, because your program terminates whenever main method ends. So whenever your main method ends, your program terminates, and if the program is terminated, what is the use of 20 then? So that's the reason why main method is defined as, or main method is designed as a method that have a return type of void. So now I hope that you get a better understanding that why main method is void, and you know the name of the main method is main. So yes, I hope this thing is clear, and you again know that this is a kind of parameter. But now the question is, why do I need to provide any parameters? So we'll see that. Don't worry about this. But tomorrow we are going to learn about the static and the instance method. Okay, the main method is static. We'll see why do we need a static method, and we have already discussed about static and instance method, so it will be very easy for you all to get the understanding and get the differences between the instance and the static method. Yes, so all right, so now let me tell you that what are local variables. Okay, so local, what do you mean by the word local? Means they are declared or used locally. Okay, in the local market. See, you usually say something like this. Okay, there are some markets like global markets and some markets like local markets. These local markets are only accessible to your local area. Okay, so now let's use this same approach with learning the local variables. So local variables are the variables that are declared in methods. No, you have to note these points. Okay, another point says that it also includes, see, if I declared previously, I declared some variable over here, int a is equals to 67 like this a is declared directly inside my method, correct? It is declared inside a method. So this is a kind of local variable. A is a local variable. Previously I used to say that int a is equals to some values over here. So at that time as well, I was trying to define that variable inside my main method. So they were also the local variable. So yes, clear the first point. The second point says that includes method parameter as well. Yes, so it includes method parameter. So this int a, this b, this a, this b, this a, this b, they are also a method parameter. This a and b are the parameters of average method, this a b for the subtract method. So these are the method parameter. So they are also a kind of local variable. Now another is not accessible outside method. So now again we need to know this, that see, if I define int a over here, so this a is accessible throughout the code because I have declared it in these curly braces. So let's say if I declared something inside this curly braces, it should be have the accessibility only inside that particular curly braces. So you just keep this approach in mind. So this will help you to understand the accessibility thing. So if a is declared inside this curly braces, which means a will be accessible only inside this curly braces. So if I declare int z over here as some value, so this z will only be accessible inside this curly braces, and if I declare 10 over here, then it is accessible with this curly braces. Okay, so I hope till now it is clear. And the last point, don't get default values. This point you can get forgot. Okay, so this point says that local variable doesn't get any default value. So if I don't say, like, if I don't provide any values to it, or at this moment of time, does a and b gets any default value? No, because the value will be provided by us, and if I don't provide any value over here, we'll get an error that there is no such method with no parameters. So we are the one who give the value to them. So if I make the method parameter, or if I make the local variable get their default value, which breaks this law, because if I don't provide any value over here and this a and b gets the default value, so we'll always get the result as 0. But at this time we should get an error that there is no such method with such declaration. So this is the reason why the method parameter doesn't get the default values, and method parameter are kind of local variables. So that's the reason why local variable again don't get any default value. So yes, so you would have already guessed that when we were trying to see the default value, like I tried this one, correct? I say int a and I didn't define any value to it, and I tried to print a and I get an error. See, this error we already encountered, but I said that we'll learn this later. So it says that local variable local variable a may not be initialized. Okay, so I haven't initialized it and it doesn't get any default value. So that's the reason why it says that if you are trying to print it, you need to first initialize its value. So let me just delete this, and now let me declare it directly inside my class body. So if I say int a, okay, now can you guess the error? A is accessible throughout the code, correct? But then too I am getting the error. Am I right? So the reason is this a is a kind of instance, and I cannot call instance without creating an object. So let's make it a static, correct? So now there is a copy of a. Now if I try to print this, we should get a, yes, so let me delete this. Yes. So now if I try to print this, we should get the default value of a. So let me run this, and now you can practice the default values like this. Define the variable globally and try to print this. So we get an output as 0. So this proves that the default value for int is 0. Yes. All right. So I hope this much is enough for today's session, because someone is asking that please explain in terms of memory location. So I don't think like explaining memory location for methods today will be a wise idea, because it will make things more confusing. So we'll try to learn that in our next session, that is tomorrow. Okay, so I hope till now it is clear to everyone, and I request you all to please practice all this thing before you learn the next session or before you go to the next session. So tomorrow I'll be expecting you all to have the knowledge of what are methods, what are return types, what are the method parameters, what are the return types, and how can I use the return types, and how can I give the parameters to the method. Yes, we'll again see the memory allocation for this local variable as well, don't worry, but there is a little bit twist in the concept, so I am not trying to explain it today. Yes, so I hope it is clear to everyone till now, and if you have any doubts you can ask me in the comment section, or you can also ask in the live chat box. So we'll catch up tomorrow at the same time, that is 7:30, and see you all tomorrow, and thank